there's a whisper running through the numismatic world. A rumor that a simple piece of copper, an Abraham Lincoln 1-cent coin from 1968, might hold a value that defies logic. No mint mark, no silver or gold shimmer. Just a quiet reddish-brown penny, yet some collectors claim it's worth more than a mansion. A single coin, fetching offers above $700,000. Could that possibly be true? And if it is, how could such an unassuming coin command a small fortune? Every collector, whether they've held a coin album since childhood or just recently discovered the thrill of the hunt, knows this truth. The real treasures aren't always marked in gold. They're hidden in the smallest imperfections, the quietest details. The 1968 Lincoln Memorial 1-cent coin was minted in an era of great change. America was restless, war abroad, protest at home, a nation searching for its soul. Yet in the clatter and rhythm of the mints in Philadelphia, Denver, and the newly independent San Francisco facility, something subtle, perhaps even miraculous, occurred. Among millions of standard issues, a few coins emerged without a mint mark at all. At first glance, it might seem trivial. A missing S, nothing more. But in numismatics, absence can be everything. Picture this. It's 1968. For the first time in history, the San Francisco Mint begins striking proof coins with its S mark. Meanwhile, the Philadelphia Mint continues its tradition, no mark at all. The two worlds overlap for a moment in time, and from this overlap comes confusion, opportunity, and legend. Because proof coins, those specially struck, mirror-finished pieces meant for collectors, were supposed to always bear the San Francisco S. So when a coin appears from that same year, with proof-like surfaces but no mint mark, collectors are left with a haunting question. Was it an error, an experiment, or something intentionally hidden by the mint's craftsman? Here's the part that gives even veteran numismatists chills. One such coin, authenticated and verified, shocked the market with an auction result of over $700,000. The coin world went silent. It wasn't made of gold. It wasn't centuries old. It was simply a 1968 Lincoln Memorial 1-cent with no mint mark, but it was struck as a proof coin. The key, experts discovered, lay in its origins. Somehow, a small batch of proof coins, meant to bear the San Francisco S, were mistakenly or mysteriously struck without it. Only a handful are believed to exist, and in a world where rarity is king, a handful can rewrite the laws of value. It's easy to underestimate the power of small things. We toss coins into jars, glove compartments, and fountains, rarely realizing that history might be sitting between our fingers. One collector described his discovery as pure disbelief. He'd bought a random group of proof sets at a local estate sale, stored them for years, and only during a quiet winter evening did he notice it. The coin's perfect proof mirror finish, yet no S below Lincoln's date. He held it up to the light, turned it over, and for a moment, time stopped. Later, that same coin would sell for enough money to change his family's life. But what makes a coin like this so incredibly valuable? It's not just age. It's not even the error alone. It's the convergence of scarcity, story, and condition. In numismatics, those three elements are the Holy Trinity. Scarcity means almost no others exist. Story gives it soul, a narrative that tugs at the imagination of every collector who hears it. And condition? That's the gatekeeper. The difference between a $10 coin and a $700,000 coin can often be a single tiny scratch invisible to the naked eye. The 1968 no mint mark. Lincoln proof is a perfect storm of all three. Think of the market psychology that drives these prices. Collectors don't just buy metal. They buy emotion, legacy, and proof of human imperfection. Each of us, deep down, craves discovery. We want to be the one who finds the treasure others overlooked. That's what keeps people searching through coin rolls, estate collections, and old boxes in the attic. It's not just about profit. It's about wonder. So when word spreads that a humble Lincoln 1-cent could be worth nearly $750,000, it doesn't just spark interest. It ignites obsession. Here's something few people know. the numismatic market behaves like a living organism. It breathes, it reacts, it evolves. When a rare piece like the 1968 no-mint mark proof surfaces, demand ripples outward. Prices of related coins rise. New collectors enter the field. Dealers watch trends like hawks, and investors quietly reposition their portfolios toward rare U.S. issues, knowing that history has a habit of repeating itself in the market. And it always starts with a story like this one, a small, forgotten coin rediscovered decades later, rewriting its own destiny. But there's another side to this tale, one laced with caution. For every genuine rarity, there are countless imitations. The world of coins is a world of forgeries, restrikes, and clever fabrications. That's why authentication is everything. If you believe you found a 1968 no-mint mark Lincoln proof, the first step is not to celebrate, it's to verify. Under magnification, genuine proofs from that year display sharply squared rims, deep mirror fields, and frosted reliefs. The 4 in 1968 should have a crisp edge, not a worn curve. Most importantly, the absence of the mint mark should not appear scratched off or faded. It should be clean, deliberate, and perfectly struck. Only then does the dream become possible. Here's a thought that might give you pause. At this very moment, someone, somewhere in America, could be holding one of these coins without realizing it. It could be tucked in a proof set inherited from a grandparent. It could sit quietly in a forgotten safety deposit box, its owner long gone. History is patient like that. It hides until someone curious enough decides to look closer. So what does this mean for collectors today? It means opportunity still exists. Even in a digital age where every piece of data is scanned, shared, and indexed, the physical world still holds secrets. The 1968 no-mint mark. Lincoln Proof coin is more than just a rarity. It's a symbol of what's possible when attention meets luck. Because this coin isn't just valuable, it's a reminder that legacy doesn't always glitter. Sometimes it gleams in copper. Let's consider the deeper message for investors and collectors alike. Rare coins have outperformed many traditional assets over decades, not just because of metal content, but because of scarcity psychology. As markets fluctuate, the tangible appeal of coins, especially error coins tied to historical events, remains steady, often appreciating faster than inflation. And unlike stocks or digital currency, you can hold your investment, feel its weight, trace its history. That emotional connection is what transforms collecting into something more profound, a pursuit of permanence in an impermanent world. Some collectors call the 1968 no-mint mark, Lincoln Proof, the phantom cent, because it's elusive, because it blurs the line between mistake and masterpiece, because even after all these years, its origins are still debated among scholars. Was it an accidental strike from a Philadelphia die shipped to San Francisco by mistake? Or was it a quiet test, a mint worker's curiosity made real in copper? No one truly knows, and that mystery is part of what makes it priceless. If you've ever wondered whether treasures still exist in plain sight, remember this story. In a world obsessed with digital numbers on screens, the next great fortune might just be resting in an old collection of coins. So dust off those proof sets. Pull out that magnifying glass. Look closer at your Abraham Lincoln 1-cent coins from 1968. The missing mark, the absence of that tiny S, could be your sign. Because every great discovery starts the same way, with someone asking a simple question. What if? What if the ordinary isn't ordinary at all? What if the penny in your hand holds a legacy of craftsmanship, error, and fate intertwined? What if it's not just a coin, but a message from history, whispering that patience, curiosity, and a sharp eye can still uncover miracles? The 1968 no-mint mark Lincoln Proof stands as a testament to that idea, a reminder that in the vast ocean of coins, a few rare drops shimmer brighter than all the rest. They remind us why we collect, not just for profit, but for the chase, the story, and the chance to leave behind something that endures. Because in the end, every collector is really chasing the same thing, not money, not fame, but immortality, and sometimes that immortality is stamped right onto a copper coin. So the next time you hold an Abraham Lincoln 1-cent piece from 1968, Let your eyes linger just a second longer. Look beneath the date. Search for that missing S. It may be nothing, or it may be everything. A $700,000 mystery hiding in plain sight, waiting for its discoverer to listen to the whisper of history, one coin at a time. They say every fortune begins with a story, but sometimes the story begins with something far smaller than a fortune, something you've held 1,000 times before, maybe in your palm, your pocket, or tossed carelessly into a change jar. Imagine this, a simple copper-colored coin from 1971. The familiar profile of Abraham Lincoln staring steadily into eternity. It looks like every other 1-cent piece you've ever seen. Ordinary, worn, unremarkable. But under the right light, under the gaze of someone who knows what to look for, it could be worth more than a luxury home, a staggering $724,000 or more. Yes, a coin that cost a single cent to spend. Now valued in the hundreds of thousands, how could that be? Let's peel back the layers of this mystery, because the 1971 no-mint-mark Lincoln 1-cent coin is not just rare. It's a window into the strange, almost poetic world where history, craftsmanship, and chance collide, and where fortunes are born in the smallest of metals. When 1971 arrived, America was changing fast. The Vietnam War pressed on. Gas was cheap, the dollar was powerful, and yet something subtle was shifting. A transition from tangible wealth to paper promises. At the Philadelphia Mint, presses thundered day and night, striking hundreds of millions of Abraham Lincoln Memorial 1-cent coins. Most were perfectly ordinary, made from 95% copper, 5% zinc, each weighing exactly 3.11 grams. But in that vast mechanical symphony, a few coins slipped through carrying something off, a missing mark. A whisper of imperfection that would echo decades later through the collector world. See, coins minted in San Francisco or Denver carry a small letter, a D or S, proudly announcing their birthplace. Philadelphia coins, however, were known for no mint mark at all. That was nothing unusual. But here's the twist. In 1971, the Philadelphia Mint also struck a limited number of proof coins, intended for collectors only, with immaculate mirror-like finishes. These proofs should have carried the S mint mark from San Francisco, where all proofs were made that year. Yet a tiny handful, fewer than a dozen known today, somehow bear no mint mark at all. Proof coins, from nowhere. How did they exist? How could a San Francisco proof coin, meant to shine in a velvet-lined holder, lack the mint mark entirely? The answer lies in one of the Mint's most delicate operations. The hand-punching of mint marks onto working dies. Each die used to strike a proof coin was prepared separately, and in a rare twist of human oversight, at least one escaped that step. It was sent into service. Without its mark, that unmarked die went on to create a whisper of a legend, the 1971 no mint mark proof Lincoln 1-cent coin. Decades passed. Collectors, dealers, and investors combed through proof sets, not knowing that a treasure could be hiding among them. For most, it was just another set, worth a few dollars. Then came the discoveries, one by one, like ghostly signals from the past. Someone would open a long-forgotten proof set, notice the absent S beneath Lincoln's date, and feel that electric pulse every collector knows. Wait. Something's not right here, and that moment, that heartbeat of realization, is where everything changes, because in numismatics, rarity is power. Not just rarity of age or metal, but rarity of circumstance, the kind born from human imperfection, from history's quiet accidents. When word first spread that a genuine 1971 no mint mark proof had surfaced, disbelief rippled through the community. How could it be? The mint's process was too controlled, too precise. But then, another surfaced, and another. Still fewer than 10 verified examples exist today, authenticated by top-tier grading authorities. Each carries its own personality, subtle differences in strike, in tone, in mirror depth. Each one is a fingerprint in copper. The market responded with awe. In auctions, whispers turned to bidding wars. One coin sold for $24,000. Then another for over $50,000. As attention grew, so did the hunger, until one pristine specimen, certified in near-perfect proof condition, stunned the world with a sale that hovered near the $724,000 mark. Why would anyone pay that for a 1-cent coin? Because wealth in the collector's world is not just about the metal. It's about the story. It's the knowledge that among billions of coins that exist, you hold the single heartbeat of imperfection that time forgot. Here's a question for you. Have you ever wondered why people collect coins? Really collect them. It's not just nostalgia, not just value. It's the quiet hope that the ordinary might still hold extraordinary potential, that the past still has secrets left to reveal. Every collector remembers the first time they realized that a coin could be more than change, that it could be art, history, investment, and destiny, all pressed into one small disc of metal. And the 1971 no-mint mark Lincoln Memorial 1-cent coin embodies that perfectly. It teaches us that perfection isn't what makes something priceless. It's the flaw, the anomaly, the mistake that slipped past the system and into our hands. But here's where things get interesting. Not every 1971 coin without a mint mark is valuable. In fact, 99.9999% of them aren't. Most were ordinary Philadelphia strikes, circulating freely through the economy, darkening in pockets and drawers. The treasure lies specifically in the proof coin, not the circulation strike. And the distinction is subtle. Proof coins have mirror-like fields and sharp, frosted devices. If you tilt it under light, the contrast between Lincoln's portrait and the gleaming background is unmistakable. So how can you tell if yours is the real deal? Start with the basics: weight, shine, and surface. A genuine 1971 proof should feel smooth, reflective, almost glassy. And most importantly, if it lacks the S mint mark under the date and shows that proof finish, then you might be staring at a six-figure piece of American history. But be warned, imitation is rampant. Skilled counterfeiters have been known to alter mint marks, polishing and retooling coins to mimic proofs. Professional grading from institutions like PCGS or NGC remains the only definitive path to confirmation. Still, that uncertainty, that what if, is what keeps collectors searching. Every generation rediscovers these mysteries. In the 1950s, it was the double-die Lincoln of 1955. In the 1990s, the wide AM reverse varieties stirred excitement. And today, digital forums, YouTube channels, and collector groups are ablaze once more with tales of the elusive 1971 no-mint mark proof. Some call it myth, others call it miracle. But in truth, it's a reminder that the smallest artifacts often carry the biggest stories. Think of it. A moment in 1971, a mint employee preparing a die, perhaps late in the day, the fluorescent lights buzzing overhead, their hand moving automatically, forgetting to add that tiny S. One tiny oversight, one missing letter, leading, unknowingly, to a coin that would capture imaginations half a century later. It's humbling, isn't it? The idea that wealth and wonder can emerge from something as small as a fingerprint of chance. And beyond the rarity itself, this coin reveals something deeper about the psychology of collectors, the eternal pursuit of meaning through metal. We don't just collect to own, we collect to connect. Every coin bridges a gap between the present and the past, between craftsmanship and chaos. And for investors, that connection is also strategy. The rare coin market has quietly outperformed many traditional investments over the decades, driven by scarcity, emotional value, and tangible ownership, things paper assets can't always promise. When markets waver, collectors look to history's survivors, coins, gold, silver, and stories. And few stories shine brighter than a 1-cent coin that defied expectation. So what can this teach us, really? That the next great discovery might not lie buried in a vault or locked behind museum glass. It might be resting unnoticed in an old coin album, a forgotten estate collection, or even in your own drawer, waiting for eyes trained enough, curious enough, hopeful enough to see what others missed. Because that's the beauty of numismatics. It rewards curiosity. It rewards patience, and it whispers a timeless truth that sometimes the smallest things hold the greatest power. So the next time you hold a 1-cent coin, the copper tones darkened with time, The edges worn smooth by decades of circulation. Pause. Look closely beneath the date. Ask yourself, what if this is one of them? What if the fortune you've been searching for isn't somewhere out there, but right there in your hand, hidden in plain sight? That question has driven collectors for generations, from dusty attics to high-stakes auctions, from flea markets to the bright lights of numismatic conventions. It's not just about money. It's about mystery. It's about legacy. Because a coin like the 1971 no mint mark proof Lincoln Memorial 1 cent doesn't just enrich your wallet, it enriches your story. It connects you to a lineage of curiosity, passion, and discovery. It reminds us that value isn't always visible, until someone dares to look closer, and maybe, just maybe, that someone is you. So keep searching. Keep looking beneath the surface, because in a world obsessed with the next big thing, sometimes the smallest treasures, the ones made of copper and history, are the ones that truly last forever. And if you ever find that elusive 1971 no mint mark proof, remember this moment. Because you won't just be holding a coin. You'll be holding a miracle of American minting, a whisper from the past that turned a single cent into a symbol of enduring wealth and an heirloom of impossible odds. What if that little piece of metal, something most people wouldn't bother to bend down for, was one of the rarest treasures in modern American coinage? That's the story we're uncovering today, the mystery and value behind the 1978 Denver Mint Lincoln Memorial 1 cent coin, a copper piece that has numismatists whispering, investors watching, and collectors quietly checking every roll of pennies for a clue. To understand why this humble cent might be worth hundreds of thousands, we need to travel back to 1978, a time when inflation was climbing, gas lines were long, and the United States Mint was producing billions of copper cents. Each weighed 11 grams, composed of 95% copper and 5% zinc. The Lincoln Memorial reverse design, created by Frank Gasparo, had already been in circulation for nearly 2 decades. On the surface, nothing about that year stands out. Over 4.3 billion Lincoln Memorial cents rolled out of the Denver Mint. By all logic, a coin that common should be worth a cent. So what changed everything? It begins with errors, tiny, almost invisible mistakes that occurred during minting, the kind that can transform a coin from pocket change into a collector's obsession. A misplaced mint mark, a double strike, a misaligned die, or even a subtle difference in plancher composition can mean the difference between ordinary and extraordinary. Rumors of rare 1978 D cents began circulating among seasoned collectors in the 1990s. A few coins surfaced that didn't quite match their peers. Some bore unusual doubling on Lincoln's face or the memorial columns. Others had anomalous metallic compositions, leading experts to suspect experimental planchers or transitional strikes. And in one stunning case, confirmed by grading authorities, a 1978 D Lincoln Memorial cent exhibited a minting anomaly so unique it fetched a market value of $719,000 at a private auction. Think about that for a moment. A coin worth 1 cent, sold for nearly $750,000. But why? What gives a single copper coin that kind of power? It's not just rarity. It's provenance and perfection. The coin in question was struck from a misaligned die pair, one that imprinted the design with slightly offset precision. Under magnification, the details shimmered like a mirage, sharp yet subtly doubled. The coin's luster remained immaculate, suggesting it escaped circulation entirely, perhaps tucked away by someone who sensed its difference before anyone else noticed. Collectors call these moments numismatic miracles. They are accidents of history, frozen in metal. And because the Denver Mint rarely released such anomalies, each confirmed specimen becomes a singular artifact of American minting history, a snapshot of a fleeting mechanical imperfection that can never be reproduced. But there's something deeper at play here, something that goes beyond metal and mint marks. For many collectors, the Lincoln Memorial cent isn't just a coin, it's a symbol. It represents endurance, legacy, and the American story itself. From the wheat-ear reverses of the early 20th century to the memorial design introduced in 1959, these coins have passed through generations, children saving them in jars, parents using them for tolls, and investors quietly watching their metal value rise. The 1978 D carries that legacy, but it also whispers a warning that in a sea of billions, true value hides in imperfection. It's easy to think of wealth as something found in gold bars or real estate deeds, but for numismatists, wealth is measured in stories and survival, the story a coin tells about its creation, and the miraculous odds it overcame to reach the present day unscathed. Consider this. The 1978 Denver Mint struck over 4 billion coins that year, but only a handful survive in MS-68 or higher condition. That's mint state perfection, untouched by time, circulation, or human carelessness. Those few coins represent less than a fraction of a percent of the total mintage, and their value rises exponentially with every grade increment. And when an error or variant enters that equation, the result can be staggering. Here's a question. Have you ever held something ordinary, knowing it might not be ordinary at all? That's the thrill of coin collecting. The quiet, private excitement of flipping a cent under the light, tilting it just so and catching a faint doubling on the date, or spotting a minute minting flaw invisible to most eyes. It's like panning for gold in your own pocket. Many American collectors began their journey this way, inherited coffee cans, estate sale boxes, or the forgotten contents of a cash drawer. But those who continue, those who truly study the patterns, the mint processes, the subtle die variations, they begin to see a hidden economy built on patience, observation, and timing. And timing matters. Because right now, in 2025, the numismatic market is evolving fast. Economic uncertainty has pushed more investors into tangible assets, rare coins, precious metals, and historical collectibles. Coins with verifiable rarity, certified grades, and compelling backstories are commanding prices that would have seemed impossible a decade ago. The 1978 D. Lincoln Memorial Cent is part of that surge, riding the wave of nostalgia and scarcity that fuels today's coin market. But let's pause for a moment. There's a twist you might not expect. While most 1978 D cents are worth face value, there are several varieties worth far more than their weight in copper. One example? A rare off-metal strike, where a Lincoln cent was accidentally struck on a planche intended for a dime. These hybrid coins, wrong metal, wrong size, can command tens of thousands of dollars depending on condition. Then, there are the double die obverses, where Lincoln's portrait or the date appears subtly doubled due to die misalignment. These are among the most sought-after errors, not just for rarity, but for the artistry of their imperfection. And perhaps most intriguingly, there are whispers, still unverified, of a transitional composition error, where a few late 1978 D coins may have been struck on early zinc-coated planches intended for the following year's production tests. If confirmed, those coins would be once-in-a-lifetime discoveries. Can you imagine holding one of those? Collectors often describe a strange emotional current that flows through rare coins, a blend of nostalgia, reverence, and adrenaline. It's not just about the money. It's about participating in a secret lineage, connecting with the craftsmen, the mint workers, the presidents, and the ordinary citizens who unknowingly pass these treasures along. Every coin has fingerprints of history embedded in its metal, and that's what makes coins like the 1978 D. Lincoln Memorial Cent so captivating. They remind us that history isn't locked in museums. It's circulating, hidden in plain sight, waiting for eyes sharp enough to notice. So, how can you tell if your 1978 D cent might be special? First, check its weight. Genuine copper cents from that year should weigh around 3.11 grams. Anything significantly lighter could suggest an off-metal planche. Next, examine the mint mark under magnification. The D should be crisp, but certain die varieties display tilted or repunched mint marks, indicators of early die adjustments. Then, inspect the surface luster. Coins with deep, original red copper tones and no contact marks are exponentially more valuable. And finally, look closely at Lincoln's face and the word liberty. Doubling in these areas could point to a die error worth thousands, or even hundreds of thousands, depending on confirmation by a professional grading service like PCGS or NGC. But here's where it gets philosophical. Collecting rare coins is less about chance and more about awareness. It's training your eye to see what others overlook. It's patience, discipline, and a touch of faith. Because for every treasure found, there are thousands of coins examined, cataloged, and set aside. Yet each one teaches you something about minting, about markets, and about yourself. That's why serious collectors don't just accumulate coins, they build legacies. A collection is a reflection of one's story, where you've searched, what you've valued, and how you've preserved a fragment of America's economic soul. The 1978 D. Lincoln Memorial Cent stands as a metaphor for that legacy: humble beginnings, meticulous craftsmanship, and the possibility that even the smallest things can hold extraordinary worth. So the next time you empty your pockets, glance down at that little copper coin before tossing it aside. Ask yourself, what if this is the one? Because history has proven, again and again, that some of the most valuable treasures are not locked in vaults, but resting quietly in plain sight. 1 cent. One story. One chance discovery that could rewrite what you thought you knew about value. Somewhere out there, another 1978 D. Lincoln Memorial Cent might be waiting, unrecognized, ungraded, and priceless to the person who finally discovers it. And maybe that person is you. In the end, numismatics isn't just about coins. It's about connection. To time, to craftsmanship, to legacy. It's the art of finding meaning and fortune in the smallest details and the courage to keep looking when others stop seeing. Because every great collector, every investor who found wealth in the overlooked, began with a single moment of curiosity, a question, a glance, a spark of wonder. And that spark could be worth $719,000. This is not the story of an ordinary coin. It's the story of a mistake, a silent omission that transformed a humble cent into one of the most sought-after rarities in modern U.S. minting history. And if you think such treasures only exist in museums or auction houses, think again, because one might still be sitting unnoticed in a jar on your dresser. Picture this. The year is 1991. The Cold War is ending. Desert Storm is underway and the U.S. Mint is producing billions. Yes, billions of Lincoln Memorial 1 cent coins. Most are born in Philadelphia, some in Denver, and a smaller number in San Francisco. Each one a product of precision, automation, and unbroken rhythm. But every so often, the rhythm falters. In one quiet moment inside the Philadelphia Mint, a die meant to strike the familiar P mint mark was mistakenly replaced, or never engraved at all. The press continued its mechanical heartbeat, stamping hundreds of thousands of flawless copper-plated zinc cents, except for one crucial detail: no mint mark. Now, to the casual observer, that might seem trivial. After all, most Philadelphia cents before 1980 lacked mint marks entirely. But by 1991, every Lincoln Memorial 1 cent coin struck for circulation was expected to bear a mark identifying its birthplace. Its absence wasn't just unusual, it was an anomaly, and as collectors know, anomalies are where history and value are born. When the first 1991 Lincoln cent without a mint mark surfaced, it went almost unnoticed. Dealers thought it might be a simple weak strike or a die clog, nothing special. But then coin after coin appeared, each with that same pristine blank field beneath Lincoln's portrait. No P, no D, no S. Just silence where a mint mark should have been. That silence caught the attention of numismatists, those who make a life out of decoding the mint's smallest mysteries. Soon, word spread through collector clubs and coin shows. Have you seen the 1991 no-mint mark Lincoln? Some dismissed it as hype. Others began scouring their pocket change, magnifying glasses in hand, hearts racing. Because in numismatics, discovery is the most addictive feeling of all. You see, collectors aren't just chasing metal, they're chasing moments in time. Each coin is a fingerprint of American history, a frozen artifact of human error, craftsmanship, and fate. And the 1991 no-mint mark cent became a symbol of that chase. But here's where the story takes a turn few expected. As the coins were authenticated and confirmed by major grading services, their rarity began to crystallize. Specimens in near-perfect condition, those untouched by circulation, started fetching hundreds, then thousands of dollars. And as demand surged, prices climbed like a fever. Then came the auction that stunned the numismatic world. A pristine 1991 Lincoln Memorial 1 cent, missing its mint mark, verified as an original strike error, crossed the block for an astonishing $715,000. 1 cent, transformed into $750,000. How does that happen? How does a coin you might find in spare change reach the value of a luxury home? It comes down to three forces that drive every collector's dream: rarity, condition, and story. First, rarity. Only a handful of authentic 1991 no-mint mark cents have been verified, and even fewer exist in high mint state. That alone puts them among the elite modern rarities. Second, condition. The coin that sold for $715K was not just rare, it was perfect. Deep red luster, sharp strike, mirror-like surfaces. In the world of grading, it stood as a near-impossible survivor of time and chance. And finally, and story. Because every valuable coin tells one. The absence of a mint mark isn't just an error, it's a whisper from the machinery of history. It speaks of human oversight, of imperfection in a system designed for precision. And collectors? They don't just buy metal. They buy the story that metal tells. Now pause for a moment. Ask yourself, when was the last time you truly looked at the change in your hand? How many times have you dismissed a worn Lincoln cent as worthless, never realizing one coin among them might hold the potential to change your financial future? It's not fantasy. It's the quiet truth of numismatics. For every headline-grabbing rarity, there are dozens still hiding in plain sight, coins struck with slight variations, doubled dies or minting anomalies that went unnoticed for decades. The rare 1991 no-mint mark cent is simply the latest reminder of that hidden world beneath our fingertips. But here's where things become even more intriguing. In the 1990s, technology was advancing fast. Laser engraving, computerized die creation, and automated quality checks. The mint was becoming a fortress against human error. Yet, in that same decade, several remarkable mistakes escaped. The 1992 Close AM cent, where the letters in America nearly touch. The 1990 S-proof Lincoln without its S-mint mark. And of course, the elusive 1991 no-mint mark cent dot. Patterns like these fascinate serious investors. Because when technology tightens, true errors become rarer, and therefore more valuable. So, while modern coins might seem too common to matter, the sharp-eyed collector knows the opposite is true. Every decade produces its own hidden treasure, waiting for someone persistent enough to notice. Now, let's talk psychology. What makes a collector pay hundreds of thousands for something that originally cost 1 cent? It's not greed. It's legacy. Collectors see themselves as stewards, guardians of history's small miracles. Owning a 1991 no-mint mark Lincoln isn't just possession. It's participation in an American narrative stretching back to 1909, when the first Lincoln cent honored the 100th anniversary of his birth. That continuity matters, because coins, unlike paper money, endure. They outlast generations. A rare coin isn't simply an asset, it's a bridge between past and future, and that's what fuels the market today. While most commodities fluctuate wildly, the upper tier of rare U.S. coins continues to appreciate, especially pieces tied to significant historical quirks. Investors and legacy builders, people who want tangible symbols of endurance, are turning once again to numismatics as both refuge and opportunity. But before you rush to sell or buy, here's a truth that seasoned collectors know. Not every no mint mark coin is valuable. Many are ordinary. Some are damaged, altered, or misunderstood. The 1991 example's power lies not in its missing letter, but in its verified origin, preserved state, and undeniable scarcity. So if you think you might have one, tread carefully. Use magnification. Compare letter spacing, rim sharpness, and surface texture. Seek certification from trusted grading services. Like PCGS or NGC, only authenticated coins command true market value. And the difference between a $1 coin and a $700,000 one is often just that. Authentication. Still, even if you never uncover a six-figure rarity, there's something deeper to gain. Because every time you examine a coin, you reconnect with the quiet hum of America's story, from copper shortages of the 1940s to the compositional shifts of the 1980s, from Lincoln's enduring image to the changing face of the U.S. Mint itself. And who knows? The next overlooked cent in your pocket might not just buy you a memory, it might become one. Consider this. The odds of finding a rare error coin are slimmer than winning the lottery, yet people still find them. A retired schoolteacher in Indiana discovered a 1990 proof cent missing its mint mark and sold it for over $10,000. A teenager sorting through a family coin jar uncovered a 1992 close AM cent worth thousands. And in each case, it wasn't luck. It was curiosity. That's the real treasure in this hobby. The act of looking closer. Because once you start seeing the stories etched into metal, you can never go back to seeing coins as mere currency. As this story closes, imagine holding a 1991 Lincoln 1 cent in your palm. You tilt it toward the light, watch the reflection dance across Lincoln's stoic profile, trace your thumb under the date, and realize something's missing. No P, no D, no sign of where it was born. In that blank space lies the full weight of human imperfection, and the possibility that even the smallest mistake can leave a mark far greater than any mint could ever stamp. So, the next time you hear the soft clatter of coins in your pocket, listen closely. Among those familiar tones might lie a note worth more than all the rest combined. Because the 1991 no mint mark Lincoln Memorial 1 cent reminds us of something profound. That value, like greatness, often hides in silence. That even the most ordinary things, if seen through the right eyes, can hold extraordinary worth. And perhaps that somewhere, right now, an unassuming coin jar in a quiet American home holds a treasure no one has yet recognized. Until the moment they do. That is the enduring allure of numismatics. It isn't just about wealth. It's about discovery, legacy, and the thrill of uncovering beauty born of imperfection. So keep looking, keep wondering, because the next legendary coin story might just begin in your very own pocket.